Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to week 2 of our new online class. So this week we are talking about a topic that you've all been thinking about for a while, which is sustainable waste management. So I just want to start off with, hold on a second. Okay, with just a preview of what we're going to do in class today. But before I even do that, a reminder, your draft poster is due on Wednesday. This Wednesday. So I will be online on Zoom office hours tomorrow from 3:30 to 4:30. And to join those office hours, you just need to click on the link I put in Moodle. That's it. Click on the link and you should join me in my Zoom virtual office and you can ask any questions you have about the poster. So tomorrow, Tuesday, from 3:30 to 4:30, I'll be online if you want to join and talk to me about the posters or even just to say hi. It'd be great to see you. So today what we are doing is talking about sustainable waste management. And on Wednesday, so today we'll talk about issues with waste globally and how coronavirus has affected waste production and some waste management. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk about more what your reading was talking about, which is approaches to sustainable waste management. So how to fix this problem. So today you have to watch these 2 videos. This is video number 1, and then do 2 mini assessments. Okay, so let's get started. So as I said, today we're talking about sustainable waste management. And if you don't already know this sustainable waste management is not happening in a lot of the world. So let's look at, let me get down here out of the way. Guess here's the best place for me. Just be smaller. Okay, let's look at how much garbage is actually produced. How much waste are we producing that needs to be managed in some way? So it's estimated that globally we produce 1.3 billion tons per year. And that's with a global population of 7.7 billion people. But here in the US, we produce way more than that per capita, right? We produce 250 million tons per year, but we only have 350 million people here. So we're producing much more waste per capita than people do at a global scale, which probably isn't surprising to you. Given what else we've learned in the semester and you've learned in your college career about consumption in the United States and other westernized countries versus consumption in a lot of impoverished, less developed countries who are surviving on less income. Okay, so let's take a look at that globally. So who generates the most waste? This map is from 2011. Yes, it's almost 10 years old, but as you can imagine, it's pretty hard to estimate globally how much waste is being produced. It takes a long time to collect this data, and so by the time it gets published, it seems out of date, right? But in reality, it just takes that long to collect it. So you can see that the darker the country is here, the more metric tons of solid waste it produces each day. And you can see that overall, the amount of waste produced is somewhat correlated with affluence in that country, but not always. We have countries like the United States where we're producing 600,024, oh my God, wow, can't say numbers. 624,000 metric tons per day of trash in the United States. But then we have Canada just north of us, which is actually only producing 40 to 60,000 metric tons per day. And Canada is a very affluent country. So you can also see this in a lot of countries in Europe, right? While Germany produces a lot of solid waste trash, a lot of the other quite affluent developed countries in Europe do not produce as much solid waste every day. So it's not just kind of an inevitable relationship that as you become more affluent, you produce more waste. This is avoidable. Okay, so what is all that garbage, at least in the US? Well, this graphic's from the US Environmental Protection Agency, and it's showing since 1960 kind of trash production in the United States. And you can see on there, it's made up of yard trimmings, which could be composted, right? Food waste, which is a whole separate problem, but also could be composted. Containers and packaging, So that's pretty self-explanatory. Non-durable goods, so that means goods that they're not containers or packaging, but you're only meant to use them for a short amount of time. And then durable goods, which are things that you're meant to use for a long amount of time, like a computer or furniture, and then they eventually wear out and many times end up in the trash, although there's definitely other places that those types of items could go. Okay, who's producing that trash in the United States? It's manufacturing and retail and trade is about 45%. But residential trash is 55%. So we can't totally blame the big corporations for this one, right? We're the consumers. We're buying these things. We're buying them in tons of packaging. When they break, we're throwing them right away. These are behaviors that we need to change. Okay, so what happens to waste? How do we manage waste right now? So we saw how much waste we produce, but what do we do with that waste? Well, there's 3 main ways that waste is managed globally, and the first one here is unregulated waste. So these pictures are some pretty horrifying images of what happens when there's no organized waste disposal system. So here we have an image of just a landfill that's off from a small neighborhood that's just off the side of a cliff. And this is what often happens. So people so where I lived in Guatemala for years, the town had a regular trash collection service, but they just dumped the trash that they collected off a hill, a barranco, like just a hill that goes into a canyon. And so what also runs through canyons? Water. So as you can see in that image up there on the right, that's actually the infamous trash dump in Guatemala City. And trash is often dumped down into ravines and canyons, and then that's where water runs through as well. So you're not only contaminating that whole area, but you're also poisoning the water downstream. What are all those people doing in that trash dump? In Guatemala City, there's actually a lot of competition to be able to go into the trash dump and search out salvageable materials to sell. And many hundreds of people make a living this way, actually. So what this shows is that, there's a lot of items being thrown away that could have been repurposed, but also this is a terrible, unjust way to have people making a living. And if we have better waste management in which some of these folks could be employed, then we wouldn't have to have these types of scenarios, which are horrible for public health. Okay, so what are some alternatives to just unregulated waste management? Well, one is incinerators. So I kind of put 3 incinerators that kind of span the spectrum on here. This one over here on the left is one in Sweden. It's just kind of like a standard clean looking incinerator. They can burn, what they do in an incinerator is they burn waste and then capture that heat and turn it into electricity. So you dispose of waste and you generate electricity. And this can be great for disposal of medical waste, like hazardous waste that you might not want lying around in a landfill. But of course, it does add pollution to the air. So the one on the far right there is a new incinerator in Detroit, and the one in the middle I just had to put in because it just shows in some places there's such a sense of aesthetics that they'll even try and make the garbage incinerator beautiful. And that one is in Norway, that incinerator in the middle. So they don't have to be ugly, they can be beautiful. Okay, the third way that in general that trash is managed is a sanitary landfill. So this is the one that you're hopefully the most familiar with, because this is how most of our waste is managed in the United States. So what is a sanitary landfill anyway? If you've ever, I know some of you are from downstate, the biggest landfill around New York City is Staten Island, the Greek Hills landfill. And that is an unbelievable landfill if you've ever been there. It smells like garbage for miles around it, but you can't necessarily tell it's a pile of garbage when you come up to it, because here's how the sanitary landfill works. It's not really a pile of garbage. A hole is dug in the ground, lined with a material, as it shows down there, a synthetic liner, and clay to prevent leaks. And you also have to install pipes in there, because if you've ever like not emptied your trash for a really long time and then you take it out, you can see that like some liquid has accumulated in the bottom of the trash bin. That's always going to happen as things rot. So you need some pipes to be able to leach that away from the system. Okay, so you set that up, then you can start filling it up with garbage. So you literally just fill that thing up with garbage, and when Sunday it's filled, you can pack it over on top, just kind of like a dog covering up its poop. Just cover that up, plant some grass on it, and you have a sealed sanitary landfill. Now, one of the benefits of a sanitary landfill is that it does generate methane. So as the garbage rots, it generates a lot of methane. Now, if the landfill is set up like this, it can actually harvest that methane and use it to generate electricity. So here we have another system, just like the incinerator, where something coming off the garbage itself is being used to create electricity. So that's at least one silver lining of the garbage cloud. And this is what a sanitary landfill looks like from the air. As you can see, if you were driving by that on a road, down to the bottom or left of that picture, you wouldn't really even know that was there, right? It might just look like some green fields with roads in it. It looks kind of like an airport or something. But that's a sanitary landfill. Okay, so getting close to the end of this little video. All right, so what does it look like globally in terms of who's using these different methods? These colors are a little hard to see, so let me just walk you through it. The biggest slice of the pie here is open dump. So 33% of waste globally is managed with that open dump that I showed you right in the beginning. That is the worst possible way for human health and for environmental health as well. So that should be addressed. The 25% there, the next biggest piece of the pie, is an unspecified landfill type. So this can range from digging a giant hole in the ground and filling it with garbage to a full-on sanitary landfill that's completely lined and is generating electricity. But we don't know. We don't have enough information from that 25%. So then we have 13.5%, which is recycled. That's great. And then what's the next biggest one here? 11, which is incineration, as I mentioned before. And then going down from that, we have 7.7 in a sanitary landfill with landfill gas collection. That's a pretty small amount. And then 5.5 is composting, and 3.7 is controlled landfill, which, to be honest, I don't really know what that means. So this is how waste is managed globally. So you might have guessed that it was mostly sanitary landfills, because that's mostly how our waste is managed in the Northeast, although we have some incinerators. But actually, it looks pretty different on a global scale. Okay, so really quick, how are we going to transition into more sustainable waste management? As you guys already know, we need to not just, it's called landfill diversion, right? So we don't want so much waste going into pure waste. So what do? We have to reduce the source of the waste. So recycling, composting, also refusing, right? Not purchasing things that you don't need or things with too much packaging that you object to. We need to siphon off liquid fuels and chemicals to go to a biorefinery. And then we can burn some waste to make waste to energy with the incinerators. And then what's left goes to the landfill. So we should not be just going straight from that top box, all the waste that's produced, straight to the landfill. There's several steps along the way where we have an opportunity to recover some of that waste that we should be taking advantage of. So I just wanted to remind you, this is appropriate for this week as we hand in our posters, as you guys hand in your posters. We focus a lot on recycling in our society, but that's only one of these 4 pieces, right? You need to refuse first, then you need to reduce, then you need to reuse, and then you need to recycle. Not just consume whatever you want all the time, no matter what, and then try to recycle it. That's not That's not an approach that anybody should be patting themselves on the back about. Although if you have, then that's kind of what was sold to us for a while. So it's time to wake up and move away from that paradigm because it's not effective. Okay, so that is the end of this video. So I know there's a lot of text on the slide, but basically what I want you guys to do for the first mini assessment that you can see there on Moodle is to understand where away is in Potsdam. So maybe, you know, we always use this expression like, oh, I threw it away. I threw it away. What does that, where's away? You know, most people do not know where their trash goes. And so I want us to not be those people, to know where our trash is going. Where's it ending up? Who is it impacting? So basically in these questions on Moodle, you're gonna look at where our trash in Potsdam ultimately ends up. And so sign off now and check that out. And then you can come back on and watch the other video, which is just a short summary of some interesting changes in waste production and management due to coronavirus. Okay, thank you.